What's going on, everybody? How you doing? This is CBN Tech Talk, also known as Black David, also known as BFR. Sorry for the technical difficulty we had. We are running the call slightly late there on the issue we did that, but we're trying to fix that as we go. Today's episode for tonight's show, which is something that we want to take very, very serious, is the title Cartoon versus Japanese Animation, or you call it Japanese anime, so to speak. Um, Waiting for my partner because we had a presentation that we worked on for the past 2 weeks, and he kind of went a late. I kind of got a little early about trying to make sure everything fully prepared. Did not realize I don't have to file on my end, so I had to wait shortly for my partner to come in so we can start running the show because there's a lot of things we want to talk about. Because I'm sure this has been a thing that's been going on for a decade or maybe two, when people have been trying to compare cartoon as if it's anime and anime as if it's cartoon. While waiting for my partner to show up, I'll just give my own little summary or my thought of what I think about it. Being that someone who has been a fan of anime since the late 90s, and I started to dig in deep, I thought to realize, personally speaking, anime is not what you think it is. It never happened, it never will be, should never be. I'll put that real clear with you guys. If you're not aware about it right now, I'll make it simple. When you're dealing with anime, it may look cartoonish to you, but it's actually not. It's completely different. Because when you're dealing with anime, you're dealing with something that comes with a level of perfection, that comes with a unique storyline. It's not no made up. Hey, Wally, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
I'm doing okay. I'm just trying to get my personal thought about anime and cartoon, but what I think about anime. I hope you had the presentation ready. So,
Oh yeah, well, luckily enough, the main one's still in the back, but yeah, let me presentate this one.
uh, because I was talking to my peer, I would do that show, and believe me, he was telling, "Oh, we can go in on that." I say, "Yeah, I know we can go in because there's a lot of things." As you can see, the title "Cartoon versus Anime." I'm telling you the difference. What it's the big difference when it comes to cartoon and anime, and I'm telling you, I'm ready to go in as deep as possible as we can be concerning this because let's be honest, I am sick of being sick and tired. When you watch an anime, they look at you. You watching cartoon? No, this is not cartoon. This is anime. It's the same thing. No, it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's definitely differences within the two, and as well as there is similarities, but we'll get to those. But yeah, but so far there's definitely gonna be we're gonna start with the differences. So yeah, but thanks for
let's,
everybody tuning on in. So let's go.
let's go into the first slide so we can use that as our thought of our conversation. But we're going to dig in deep with that one, if you don't mind.
Right. So of course, you guys, cartoon versus anime, understanding the differences. What is the big difference between when it comes to cartoons and anime? So let me make sure.
Let's get the first
Okay.
slide up and ready. Because that
Introduction.
one, we will like, there we go. I hope you guys see on the screen. Sorry, it might be the back end. I will try to lower it as much as I can. Yeah, oh, I got an air purifier behind me. Forgive me for that. So, if everybody looking at the screen right now, we had definitions that we broke it down clearly yesterday. Definition of cartoon. Cartoon is a form of visual art that typically use exaggerated humors or whimsical style. They are often aimed at children, but can also cater to adults, aka the Simpsons, right?
Mhm.
You got The Simpsons. You got Family Guy. You got
There's American Dad. There's Futurama. There's a lot of those
on
different.
a lot of those, but
Yeah.
it's all about humor. Um, we're not gonna drop the link yet, but if anyone wants to join in, let us know in the chat so we can drop the link. If you want to go in the conversation, you are in depth in this conversation because we have seen so much of Western cartoons that's meant for adults that they show it at later hour, not in the afternoon hours, mostly on Fox, right? Or Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. Am I correct?
For the majority.
For the majority of the time. But the thing, if you look at the artistry of it, it's not so as detailed as you would compare it to anime. You look at the background, we have The Simpsons, the most iconic adult cartoons in our present time that have been on for how many seasons? What, 20
Uh,
season?
yeah, 20 plus, give or take. Yeah,
Pretty much. Ain't
yeah,
going nowhere.
pretty
And
much.
they never age. Why is that?
Eh.
You get it, right?
Yeah, I mean the thing about cartoons in most grand schemes is because one of the many ways of their style of art is to keep it quote unquote simple, and you can tell like this is how they keep it simple. Like if you look at one of the like the two arts of the two like cartoon and anime that we have right here, right, they keep it simple as just a dot, a black dot for their eyes. But when you look at the anime, they're actually going very well in detail, so you can actually see the color eyes that they actually have versus just the dot. So there's certain things like that. But I think in a sense, this is where it comes to like when you start to look at these things, this is more like, well, what's more cost effective, right? So you have to also think about
Mm.
those fairnesses in that as well, because of course, on American side of the cartoons, their cost effective are pretty simple because they're not overly exaggerated to detail. Whereas to anime, you're going to be more exaggerated detail, and plus it will be that because if you think about a lot of the money that are involved in this, and you think to yourself, well, how much money is really involved in pushing the Simpsons or any other things like this? Then you think to yourself, well, if it's not that much, then yeah, it's reason why this is able to keep on going season after season after season because you're only putting a very small value system into it where it's still grossing over the cap. So they keep it this way to save money, which is smart for them. I'm
And,
not wrong with that.
but don't get me wrong. When you look at cartoon, there's no continuation on whatever storyline they have. It's always something different every day.
True. That's another part of it too that you can say as well, which we'll get into the later.
Later on. Now look at the definition of anime. The anime referred to a style of animation originated from Japan. Keyword. It was originated from Japan, but as time progressed, as the production progressed, it started to do more than just Japan alone. It tampered with the European history. It does tamper with American history. It tampered with Greek history in some of the anime, correctly, right? And tamper with different mythology that we may be so familiar with.
Right.
Japanese animation library is huge, big time. When I say big time, it's big time. And if you want to go back, I remember mentioning about one of my favorite anime to watch when I was growing up, Thunder Up. Now, this anime dated back to 1978. Oh, you could say the same as Charlie Brown, but that doesn't make it inferior per se. Charlie sure made those characters very expressive. You know what? I would give you that. I will give that. Charlie Brown may seem that way, but at the same token, when it comes to detail and storytelling, they still lack a level of consistency. Let look at it this way though. Unless they have a unique storyline they're going by, there's never a long term plot, and that's the thing I noticed about that. There's never a long term plot. And I've been aware of that for a while. When you're watching all the latest cartoons back in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, when we had a show about G.I. Joe, we went in deep about it, right? We had a show about the Transformer. We went into depth about that. Am I correct?
Right.
These are iconic cartoons that build the American culture. These was idea that came from toy sales before it came something very, very big. And we emphasize how they just somewhat trying to get a storytelling plot after a couple of pilots and then they went along with it, right?
Mm.
They're along the line, they start to realize they had to work on character development of each character. Transformer, I'm not gonna lie, it got to a degree where they did try to introduce new characters as time progressed, but
Mm.
they did not have an in-depth blueprint, guidelines. Forgive me, that's why I had the blue screen to block out people coming behind my back because my camera keep picking up, but forgive me for that. This is what happened when I need a blue screen to block out people from coming behind my back a lot. let me see what I'm trying to say. When we talk about Transformer, I think what we overlooked was the fact that there wasn't a plan on or a blueprint or a guideline or a time step of which character they're going to introduce, how they go break down the character, how they introduce to the audience so they'll have a certain selection of pick what be their favorite, right? So to speak. Perfect example in the Transformer, the Dinobot. How often you watch Dinobot on that cartoon series? Not often. But for some period they have unique fan base behind it, right?
Right.
As time progressed throughout the years, they almost neglected building on the character individually until they get the feedback from the audience based on newsletter, based on fan mail, whatsoever. Or we need more depth about of our favorite character. They start to work on it around the clock, right?
Mm.
That was the issue with Transformers, same thing issue with G.I. Joe. But when it comes to anime, okay, what did EJ say? EJ say cartoon was also doing the turn for comic strip. Thank you. I already forgot about that. Anyone who remember back in the 80s, thank you for putting it on highlight. Cartoon was really the turn for comic strip that would appear in newspaper before there was animated short that appeared in movie theaters. Anyone remember back in the days when you buy the New York Daily News or early old school newspaper, there was a bunch of comic strips that we had. People need to just go back and read it. So it's kind of entertainment at that time.
Yeah, they still do it to this day.
To this day, but here's the problem. How often people buy newspaper now to this day?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like not too much. I mean, unless you're old in most cases.
So I'm glad you just threw that one up. Thank you for that because that day came. That's how it first started. The comic strip was the first thing that lead to the creator of cartoon. Now, anime is not the same. Just like they say, it comes from Japan, categorized by colorful artwork, practical theme, vibrant character. It spans all age group and genre. I hate to say this. A huge majority of anime is never meant for to be kids. Or am I wrong? Well,
No, you're right. There is some, but to the majority, no.
there's some anime that's meant for kids. I'll be I'll be perfectly correct. There is some anime that's meant for kids, but a lot of the most iconic anime wasn't really meant for kids. Based on the story plot, based on a narrative, based on the main character, based on the genre, and what may be containing either a lot of gore, a lot of blood, a lot of profanity. Oh, they curse. They do curse. It can get real gruesome. You can see teeth flying. Ugh. blood splatting. Ugh. You see some gut spilling out. Oh,
Yeah, that's true, EJ. They do.
yeah, it get
They
there,
still do to this day. Yeah.
and that is true. Many manga authors appear publicly to this day. Many manga are mostly black and white,
Yeah, they still keep that formation.
unless you're paying for the color edition. The color edition needs to be more costly than that. But the thing is, manga creation, it wasn't like comic book creation. That'll be another episode we will talk about on this show, and we're gonna work on that and see if we have the calendar for that. Because we want to have a differentiation between comic book and manga. And when it comes to manga creation, yo, you think it's hard for people to get their comic book out in the US? You have no clue what it's like for somebody want to get their manga out there. The the amount of, I can't even call it red tape. The amount of roadblock and barricade you will have to go through. Because if your manga is not worth putting out there, they're not gonna put it out there. They will put your manga to the test. So trust me, I ain't gonna lie about that one. Let's go to the next slide because I don't want to be hitting on this topic because this right here. I'm glad we had a definition so people can see a difference between cartoon and anime. Because I've been taught about this thing for. I've been told from some of my Japanese friends, don't ever call anime cartoon because it's not.
All right, hold up.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let me mute my mic a bit.
All right, so when David handled this, but let me go to the next one. Origins and cultural context.
Go on, babe.
Right. So for the cartoon side, it is predominantly Western origins, aka US/European, developed from comic strips and slapstick humor. Examples: Looney Tunes, SpongeBob, SquarePants, just to keep on basic terms.
Animaniac.
Yeah, Animaniacs too, but yeah.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. For anime, you know, Japanese origin with influence from manga, aka Japanese comics, heavily tied to Japanese culture, traditions, and storytelling techniques. Example: Naruto, My Neighbor Totoro. Yeah.
Naruto, My Neighbor Totoro, Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, Soul Lover. There's a lot of anime, but if you hear what they say, heavily tied to Japanese culture. A lot of these anime are mostly closely tied to Japanese culture, but they had also expand.
Yeah, that's true. Anime is the word for animation. Yes, it is.
Let me see. I could check my mic. You know what?
No, you got it down. It's good. No, I'm just that's just comments coming afterwards. But yeah. But let's get one thing clear, people. Like just like what EJ said in the comment section. Yes, anime and cartoons are both animation. That is very true. It's just coming from two different places. That's the main ordeal of this whole conversation. Understand that yes, both of these two things are animations, but they're coming from two different places and with two different sceneries. So one thing for you guys to take in context with that. But just to add to this overall, right, when we talk about origin and culture factor, right, and I think this morally leads to the idea of, for Japanese comics / anime. But when you think about culture, is pretty much engraving things from history and then forwarding into stories, which then colludes them into these things where you see these, traditional like videos, like for instance, as Naruto, right? They'll go into these stories of the Nine-Tailed Fox that is engraved in, Japanese history with their their mythology and, all this and these spirits, as and, beast spirits, things like that. So they come from some ancient times and, some historical factors which alludes back to their culture and all that scenery. Whereas for This, on the other hand, for as far as cartoons, there are some moments of like you can't really pivot back to history with this in some cases, give or take, for the simplicity factor of you have to ask yourself, well, who history are you really pushing? And then at the same time, it's like, is it really fair across the board? And is that the real true history? Because some people will, quote unquote, tend to differentiate what is true history as far as what's being truly known to the outside world, because someone will paint it one way, but if you do the research, it can be deemed another, give or take. Mic open. You need to have mic open. No one can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We're having an issue with the wire. I think I bent the wire by accident. Now
Yeah. David?
There is some element that's based on historical, likely a bit, just to make it entertaining. But still, they don't leave out the actual factual notion about certain storyline. Either they're doing anime based on Greek mythology or Greek history. Either doing anime on the North or I can't call it. It's not Greek. It's the mythology of Thor.
Oh, the Nordic.
The North, yeah, the Nordic.
Yes.
They're doing. I'm even surprised they even tried to touch base on African culture. They touch base on South American culture in some of their anime. Besides Japanese cultures, they try to touch base with South Korean culture. They even touch base on Egyptian culture. There are a lot of anime as of lately that they have tried to not to disrespect the culture, but have homage, like have some respect toward it, but it get a more depth for their storytelling. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And just to make this clear, as most of you guys heard David when he break down like certain parts of different cultures that they expounded on, just to let you know, when we're talking about cartoons, this is not including DC or Marvel. I'm not including those in the mixture of this. I sort of look at that as a strand separated from this part, for the only reason that when you look at Marvel and DC and compared to typical cartoons like Looney Tunes and stuff like this, they are definitely a little bit of a branch different from them, for the simple fact they have more in-depth details and just more, creative things, and plus they actually hit on a story part in this. Now, I'm not saying that cartoons don't hit on something, but we'll talk about we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I want to break that down on a different tip. But let's just keep going from here.
You want to go to the next slide? Okay. Go to the next one because believe me, okay, art style, visual element. Now, as you were saying earlier, cartoons don't hit heavy on historical fact as much as anime does. Because the style they have is not the same. But if you look at the visual aspect of it, let's be crystal clear. When you watch American cartoons from the 80s, let me go look. The cartoon came out in the 70s? No, that was comic strips. They had comic strips and no, what do you want to call it? But look at cartoon from the 80s, cartoon from the 90s, cartoon from the 2000s, and up to now. A lot of their cartoons are not heavy on detail. Even if they try to get there, you can still tell it's not so heavy on detail. Okay, there's some exceptions. Transformer, depending on the version of Transformer you're referring to. Transformer and Transformer Prime was CGI, computer graphic, well, computer generated image, what I want to call it. Transformer animated, we want to go into too much detail.
Well, I'll say this, right? Just to add a little bit to it. When I think about, because I know you mentioned the Transformers, I know you mentioned G.I. Joes. My thing is, in a sense, I wouldn't even consider those cartoons, for the simple fact of A, they're actually from a particular comic entry, or they have some annotation background. So because of that, I would also strip them on another tip as well, especially because they're a little bit more in detail, more than the
what about the X-Men cartoon? Will you put that in the same category too?
Yes, definitely X-Men. Well, of course, that's Marvel. So definitely Splinter Cell off, because they're more depth detail. This, you want to think about like more simpler stuff that is not engraved to a book.
So is it safe to say anything from the DC or a Marvel realm is not considered for in the cartoon category? There should be another category for that.
Yeah, I say that they're like, I put it like this. So DC, Marvel, and anything similar to that where they have their own comic book of storytelling, I would say that that's more of a strand separated from cartoons itself. Because when I think about cartoons, personally, I think about it in a simple strand of just like Powerpuff Girls. I don't think so. There's really like anything backed up behind Powerpuff Girls in a sense of telling.
So simply on this topic, I'm glad you said Powerpuff Girls actually pay a bit of homage to anime style. You will see Seamline where the Powerpuff are in action, plus the large eyes, small. I get that they're paying homage, but sometimes they're not doing too well with it. But simply on this topic, and we mentioned DC, Marvel, or anything that have a comic book, if we cannot call it cartoon,
because at that point, I would just
hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
If we cannot call it cartoon, but we cannot call it anime, then what should we call it then?
Oh no, well that's what I was gonna let you say. I would have called it comic animation, because I think there is cartoon animation, comic book animation, and then there's Japanese animation. That's how I would break it down personally for me. Because I really wouldn't put things like this, the Superman, the Batmans, and all this equally to that. Because again, when you really think about it, they're a little bit more in the script detailed than they are versus.
And I'm glad we bring this one up, because this need to be talked about, because if we did not go down in detail and break it out, because yes, in the legal technical aspect, they fall into cartoon, but at the same time they're not cartoon. But the level of detail is almost close to that of the anime side of things.
Well, and plus you also got to think about it too. You got to think about it too. What is the main definition of what we talked about when it comes to cartoons? They're about humor. They're about all this. Those guys are not about humor. They're not selling humor. They're selling action. So
a
little bit more different, more in depth.
So now they're gonna lead this show we have. We might have to have a part 2 to talk about that part, because we need to break that one down, because we know we're doing the difference between cartoon and anime, and since DC and Marvel cartoon are not cartoon, we need to find another name for it, because they're not anime. Keyword, they're not. They're close to being as detailed as anime to the level of degree, because let's be particularly real, you can safely say they're trying to be a rival to anime, but it's still not. Because based on storytelling wise, it almost had the same. You know what? EJ saying, for me, I have a reference to them as Japanese cartoon. Ella Maya the honeybee. Wally, what do you think about that term?
I mean, I have no problem with it in a sense, but the thing is, I wouldn't even call them Japanese cartoons, because, when you say Japanese cartoons, EJ, are you saying Japanese cartoons as far as the comic book side of the entry, or are you talking about more so as far as the Japanese side of the entry? Because even then, like for comic books, like, yes, there has been a mixture. Because don't get me wrong, there's definitely been DC and Marvel projects that have been co-opted in a scenery of looking like Japanese style type animation, or have been dealt with by the holders of the Japanese animation. But my thing is, like I said, this is why I say I would call them more so the comic book animation more than just, or the comic animation. That's why I say more than just calling them like Japanese cartoons or something like that in that sense. Because at least, because you got to think about it again, it's like there is a split streak between the two. Like I think more so than anything else. The animation. Because more than anything else, when I think about the comics, I think the comics bring the seriousness of the everyday life that we live, but with a little bit of everything else mixed together, and while also playing in a true, well-groomed storyline with actual, how do I want to say this, but with actual heartfelt moments in it, which you can learn from and take back from, because there's a lot of things you look at overall, and you can say, for instance, perfect example, Batman. If you understand Batman, his longness of just that whole history and background of him and all that, then you understand what it goes through, like the traumas, the pains, the things that he's willing to sacrifice just so he can help the world, or in multiple ways, one way or another. As just to bring small few examples. Whereas, cartoons, they don't really have a real, like, you can get something from cartoons, but you can never really get it to that degree, because most cases, most people are just looking at the funny factor. They notice that first before they really realize the bigger plot story as really being painted, what they're showing. So in most cases, most people are locked in with the human before they're ever locked in with what they're really seeing, what they're really getting. And that's why, like, when you come back to these things and you're grown up and you stop dealing with the humor, but you start realizing, what is this really trying to tell me here? And then you realize, okay, so maybe there's more to this, but we always gravitate to the human more than anything else. But that's how I take it, because at least with DC and Marvel, you actually are getting blood. You're actually getting the possibility of death and loss. You're actually getting those things. Whereas cartoons, they sort of show that, but reality is like, I'm never going to die here. Let's just keep it real. And so, things like that stuff. So there's a lot of those pick and choose of how we deal with these things, but that's just the main thing. But
No, I'm glad you pointed out, because the thing is, we want to compare comic book with manga, right? On the next series, but yet Marvel, DC do have some level of storytelling, right?
yeah,
Like, give it credit to credit due. They do have some level of storytelling. But my real serious issue with Marvel and DC, they got a level of storytelling in their cartoon, but consistency don't always play out for it.
I
Since they,
mean,
and since
true, but
since
I can
they're
say
the
the
since
same thing on
since
the same side of anime,
hold on,
though.
hold on, hold on. It's not always the same time with anime. A lot. It's a lot more on Marvel and DC than that of manga. Reason why I will say this: how often do you have a reboot of Superman?
But that's the thing, though. Are we talking about a
Or
TV show, or are we
no,
talking about
I'm
are we
talking
talking about
about
movies?
on a cartoon on this topic on cartoon and anime, right?
Okay,
Since these Marvels and DC cartoon come from the comic books, right?
okay.
How often do we have different reboot of Superman? How often you had different reboot of Spider-Man?
Now,
How
okay.
often you had different
If you
reboot of Batman? I'm saying that out. A lot of these comic book or these iconic comic book, you get them a lot over the period of time. But
Mhm.
when you look at manga, keyword, you rarely see manga that produce these anime go on multiple. If they do a reboot, it a touch up on the animation process to make it even better, right? To add more what not adding from the manga into the anime, right?
Mhm.
But it's not like you change the storyline or you change the storyline origin.
Right.
Let,
So
let, 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 let's keep that clear,
no, no, no,
because
no. Yeah, yeah.
we had this argument before on another show when we talk about what show we were talking about, the original what cap what would Peter say he had an issue with, what he said something that it got me thinking about it the whole week, how it's not Power Rangers, no, it's something else, how they changed the origin. They want to keep on changing around.
You're talking about as far as like the last live streams where there's like the multiverse stuff like that.
Yes. And
Uh-huh.
somehow the origin never did a thing. One moment it's based on how they came about and the Twitter. That goes on in Marvel comic and DT comic over the period of time. The storyline never stayed consistent. Oh yeah,
Well,
we talk about the Joker, the origin of the Joker. I remember.
right.
Perfect example. We talk about the origin of the Joker. How they keep on changing how the Joker came about. It never stayed the same. It's safe to say Batman they did the same thing with Batman 1 degree.
It's safe to say they did the same thing with Superman at one degree. Even our good brother on this network, Mr. Paul Bennett, even broke it down in detail.
Right. So, but this is my thing, right? And I'm gonna give you this counter. My main counter to it is, as much as that is true, because it's very true, right? Anime stakes one, and it only stays on one overall, and that's it. But here's my problem, and this is where I'm gonna have the pushback of the counter, because when we're talking about DC and Marvel, and as far as their quote unquote their unconsistency, storytelling, as far as characters and how they came about, my thing is I don't look at that as a negative for their characters at all. I look at that as a genius. Let me tell you why. And the reason why I say it's a genius, because one, you have to consider some things. If I'm able to make one character and I'm able to make a potential storyline about this one character and make another storyline about the same character, because guess what? We all end up having different lives. Imagine, don't we all wonder what our lives would have been like if we weren't who we were, or we weren't in the conditions that we were in? We all could have been different. We all could have had different lives, different worlds. So I think that is the beautiful part about Marvel and DC, because we're able to expand the options of who we can be and what we could have become. Think about this. There's a lifetime. Everyone wished that we could have a Batman that kills, right? But guess what? Technically, you did. And that was who? That was Bruce Wayne's dad. Bruce Wayne's dad was the Batman within another timeline, and he definitely would kill you. He definitely would. He gave two fucks, right? But you got Bruce Wayne, and he don't go for the kill shot. He beats you up. He locks you up. That's it. And hopefully he thinks you're gonna change. When in reality you don't, and you just come back and get beat up again, right? So there is some fairness to those things where you have to consider that multiverse aspect. Now, granted, and how do we know this to be true? Dragon Ball Z proved it, because we also did a multiverse on that one.
Okay, I give you that one.
Exactly.
I'm glad you threw that one there. There's a good argument. I'm glad you do that because Dragon Ball Z is guilty of that. The Dragon Ball franchise is very. You know what? I had to give one of that argument. It's a very good intellectual. I had to give him that because Dragon Ball franchise. If I spoke to my peer long before he got on there, we were talking back and forth how Dragon Ball Z is almost like a canon. This Dragon Ball Diamond is considered to be a canon. I told him we had to be honest when we go do a show about the Dragon Ball franchise, but it kind of guilty of that. But not often you see a lot of anime does that. Let be clear.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Let's be clear because this is the kind of argument I like to deal with. When we have this type of show about anime unlocked, when we're dealing with different topics concerning anime, we want to make sure we get to the nitty gritty. We're not playing nice with anybody. We taking off the gloves. We putting bare knuckles. We're doing blood sport with it. We put some glass and glue, and we going at it because this is good.
Right.
And I'm glad you pointed out.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z is guilty of doing that.
But
and the fan base had an issue with that at one point. Let's be real. Because there was a massive gap between Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT. Okay, here we go.
Right, EJ, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's true.
That is
is
true.
Kill you, but he'll break your bones, though.
Okay, that is true. But let's be real, though. Dragon Ball Z fan base were very brutal when they found out when the Dragon Ball Z was finished and they did Dragon Ball GT. And there was a massive gap in the timeline. Everybody said, okay, what happened? What's going on here? The GT didn't do too well with the fans. They were pissed. The creator of Dragon Ball franchise realized that. Right? Okay, fine. So what did they create? Dragon Ball Kai. That sounds like a reboot.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would call a kid version because of if you notice, the Bloods and Guts were taken away in Kai.
There you go.
Horrible.
So the fan base of the Dragon Ball franchise had an issue with Dragon Ball Kai. They realized they were pissing them off. They were
Yeah,
people
but
called
you gotta think about it. It was pretty. The reason why they did Dragon Ball Z Kai was pretty much to enter in the kids realm, aka the young teenagers, because teenage was connected to it. So of course you had to budget cut the blood and guts out of it and bring it to the kids, where usually this would be late nights, Tanami late night scenery, which sort of sucks. But I guess if you're someone of the fan base that wanted to see Dragon Ball early because you had to go to bed late and your parents want to let you stay up at night, well, voila, you got what you wanted. You got what you wanted in that sense, because that's pretty much was the reason of what happened right there.
not it true. That is totally true. I'll be honest with that. So we had Dragon Ball Z Kai, the reboot. So how to make it up to the fan base who follow Dragon Ball franchise since beginning of Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball GT, then went back with Dragon Ball Kai to enter the kid realm of the audience. Since the real fan base was like, "What the hell is this?" What was the best way to make it up to them? Dragon Ball Super, right? But before the Dragon Ball Super, they did some Dragon Ball movies. So kind of like, you know what? We understand how you feel, but just bear with us, right? Then you got the Dragon Ball Super, right? Then you hear about Dragon Ball Daima. What's Dragon Ball Daima all about? Trying to find out there's still a little extra more gap in the timeline. Some people call it canon. But who am I to tell what the creator decided to do? Right? Right or wrong? But
Hey,
legally speaking and technically speaking, they are guilty of following what comic book done too many times. What either be the Marvel or DC.
I'll even go a step further, because I'm gonna prove to you enough, just because of Dragon Ball alone, why this also is why I say this is a fair point of why I said DC and Marvel are not really to blame when it comes to doing multiverses. Is just how they progress the storyline overall. Because here's one thing. Hold on, before we touch any, well, a matter of fact, yeah, touch a comment real quick. Touch a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I think, because EJ came and said,
EJ said, "Oh, I think the Dragon Ball series is greatly unappreciated
in comparison to Z, which is a shame in my opinion." No, look, I agree. I truly do tell you it's true, because the thing is with Dragon Ball, and I think, and I'll even bring this down. Let's bring this down, right? If we started from Dragon Ball, the thing is with Dragon Ball, right? As much as it had more seriousness, it wasn't as serious as most people think it is, because the sole fact of one thing only, there wasn't really death. Other than one potential one, which was pretty much Grandpa Gohan, and that's because the Great Ape. But other than that, when you really think about everything that happened and transpired in Dragon Ball, you got to think about it. Dragon Ball was really the quote-unquote humoristic anime at that point in time, while having that doctrine of discipline and combat. But it was really a lot of comedy in it, in that early stance.
It did.
Of course, now they're older, so of course we got out of that phase of that.
But keyword. He formed his progression from a kid Gohan to a teenage to young adult, right? Unlike cartoon, you wonder how long you'll be the same age.
True, but hey, right now, technically Dragon Ball are still keeping the same age of Goten and Trunks, so you can't do that. Can't do that. And let's be honest, GT was a proven factor, because GT, at least, hey, look, I don't care what no one's saying. You can feel what you feel about GT, so can I. But at the end of the damn day, one thing I appreciated is we finally got older Goten and older Trunks, because you know good and well they were the few. You see the older version of the mofos. That's the main thing I love. That's the main thing
I'll give you that.
The only crap part about that,
I give you that.
I hate about the GT.
This is why I like this topic.
Didn't get Trunks with the sword. That was the messed up part. I hated that. Sparta, get out of here. Get out of here. No one want to hear about you, bro. No one hear about you.
This is why I like Wally. Wally will make sure you will balance out the argument, because sometimes I will hit a point and Wally will, hey, let's not forget, this one is also guilty too,
No, it is because, but here's my point about why Dragon Ball is literally the pinnacle of the guilty party when it comes to inconsistency as far as anime
No,
and
hold
then
on.
and then
Let's
comic
let's
animation.
not split because we have a show for that one alone.
I mean, we do, but as far as just talking about differences, let's just talk about it. Here's the reason why I said that when we talk about the inconsistency storyline part, even though we're not touching on storyline yet, but the thing is, here's the problem. Because notice one thing. When they did quote unquote super, right? We got the super, now we're getting backdrop storytelling and everything else, and we're rolling it back and getting the forward telling, and we're understanding how all these interactions, which is still good storytelling because now you're building the pieces together. The problem that I have with the story though was, and this is the unique part, and this is why I say the multiverse is really expandable, is because of this. Notice what they did. They did what? They did the whole thing with the multi planets, aka quote unquote multiverses. This is why I said I'm not mad about multiverse. Because think about this. In Universe 7, aka where Goku and Vegeta are, their sane race is dead, gone, finito, vanished, cooked.
But
on Universe 6, they're still alive. Again, the world of imagining where things could have happened.
Boy,
you gotta love it.
I'm sorry. When we go do the show on the Dragon Ball Z franchise, there will be no mercy on this.
And then Sparta, look here. Leave GT alone, goddammit. At the end of the damn day, one thing, the greatest thing ever that GT has done, that they masterpiece, was the fusion between freaking Goku and Vegeta and the Great Ape Within. That was the greatest masterpiece of GT ever. Don't ever motherfucking disrespect GT. Granted, it has some fucked up storylines. I ain't gonna fucking tell you.
This is why I like this show.
I'm not gonna lie.
Because when it comes to me and Wally, we talk about anime, we will go in and we'll be brutal about it. We're not gonna be nice to anything because this is what we need a show for. So we talk about the style of cartoon, the style of anime, highly detailed background, character design, but from start to finish, it's always been that way.
Right.
Emphasis, keyword, emphasis on realistic anatomy, even in fantasy setting. How many times we talk about how a cartoon looks so fake as hell when they're running, when they're fighting, when they're punching and everything. But when it comes to anime, it's so realistic, it's on point, it's highly entertaining compared to a bunch of whack cartoons.
Right.
The last one I can't see. I can't see it.
I'm gonna give it to it. It's unique features, large expressive eyes, detailed hair, and diverse fashion.
And maybe we'll talk about Marvel and DC comic almost close on that level. So we need to find a new name for that. We can't call Marvel and DC cartoon no more because they're not really cartoon based on the definition of cartoon.
And that's why I said that I would call them comic animations. But real quick, EJ, look, I would love to be there, but your boy Sparta needs to send the man the link. That's the problem. Until he do that, I can't be there. So get on his behind, and I'll be there. Trust and believe me.
Let's go on the next slide because we will be going in on every detail. This is what I like about this conversation. We're not sparing no level, no rock. Every rock is being on turn. We're calling out for what it is. Let's go to the next slide. This one, we're going to end on this one. We're going in. We are definitely going in on this one. I'm sorry. This is what I'm talking about.
Now the Jack sends it to me. Okay, EJ, I'll be there soon.
Episode with self-contained plot. Focus on humor, morality, and entertainment. Really entertainment? Okay. Example, Tom and Jerry slapstick. Adventure Time, quirky humor. I thought that's not quirky humor. That is whack humor.
I ain't gonna lie.
I don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm going in on this one. You had the Adventure Time. You have all those retarded ass cartoons to be put on Cartoon Network. It don't make no goddamn sense. Quirky humor.
There wasn't a lot of the cartoons in the lather scheme that were so great. I mean, granted, that's for people you like it, cool. That's for you. But for me, Adventure Time was very like
quirky. No. I'm sorry. I'm glad we have this topic right now. I'm going to go ballistic on this. for the past decade and a half, they have been putting in some whack ass, good for nothing,
That's
brain
a
dead.
lie. You say this? Yeah. He gonna put it on me, and then tell you that he gonna put it on me.
Wow.
No. He know good and well I asked him for that ish, and now he's sending it. So I'll be there soon, EJ. Don't worry about it. But he ain't gonna put
Oh,
that on me.
we
Talking
started
about
beef in
I was
this
waiting for him
conversation
to
right now.
get
Okay,
back to me.
we're gonna start doing territory. But let's be honest, like I'm trying to say, this have been seen on Cartoon Network and then turned over to Netflix. I have seen some of the most dumbest, some of the most retarded, lame ass, quote unquote, quirky humor. It's more like trash humor. We make no goddamn sense. I'm watching it. Even when I watch my kid watch it, and I get multiple brain fart. Like, what the hell is this?
Right. But I
Like,
will say this just real quick, just to tailgate.
go ahead.
Because like I said before, right? As much as they do focus on the humor and the traditional entertainment aspects, which pretty much both of them do, right? But the one thing I will I will say, if you're locked in mostly on the humor, you will miss the morality part because there is morality in these cartoons. But I think that's why a lot of cartoons really get a lot of flack because you don't really quote unquote learn from them. It's just a joke and haha, and it just makes you laugh. But reality, when you take the laughter part out of it and you see what's really being played in front of you, you will get some morality in this because Tom and Jerry is a very moralistic thing if you really think about it. Because what is the morality? Right? Jerry is always obsessed with Tom because the moment Tom walks away from Jerry and not plays with him no more, guess what? He feels the type of way. And he's always gonna now, trying to get Tom to chase him again because he loves that atmosphere. He loves that chase. In a lot of sense, if you think about it, Jerry is a female because he wants he wants Tom to keep chasing. Canadian boy, you can't hear you.
Now that you bring that up with that picture, I'm kind of wondering, did it seem like they brainwash our community with that chase nonsense whereby you have all these chicken head girls like to pick on dude, they want
I'm
dude
just
to chase
saying.
them.
I'm just saying. Hey, there
I,
is a
I'm
morality thing to it.
I am calling it as I see it. As you broke it down that way, you're admitting that these lame ass cartoon or the kind that we grew up with brainwashed our community, made us to act ridiculous and be buffoon before the world.
I mean, you may say that is true, but at the same time, who's not to sit here and say that's what they see us do already, and then they're just showing that in a cartoon?
Oh. Ooh.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Before think about it. If you're not someone that's a
Ah.
cartoon person, you were already chasing regardless, right? Because you had to, or someone's gonna convince you to chase, right?
Wow.
I'm just saying there is
Wow.
morality in cartoon people. You gotta give cartoons some credit, but the only way you can give cartoon credit if you actually pay attention to what they're really giving you.
So you say a lot of these cartoons that be made over the years are based
They've
on
been
actual
selling
real
us a
people
lot of
acting
visuals.
like a
They've been-
complete buffoon? Damn.
I'm just saying, like the cartoon has given us a lot of visuals of what it is out here. We just not peeping it because we are just laughing at what's being sold to us. And that's the thing. Like we take the humor, but in reality, the people that made these actually were telling us the truth behind a lot of the laughter because there's a lot of truth to it. People didn't want to believe it, but it's there. Think about this: the tortoise and the hare on Looney Tunes amongst Bugs Bunny and the tortoise, right? You would think it's always great to be fast, be first, always be there, right? But the thing is, what's the difference? You be fast, you be there, you thinking you're the shit, and next thing you know, boom, life hits you like a ton of bricks. But then you live and pace yourself through life, and you end up winning. Sometimes it's better to be slow to things than fast to things, because just what? Just because you're fast to it doesn't mean it's going to be the greatest thing to you.
I give you credit. There is a level of morality in some of these cartoons. Skewered. Some. Not all, but some. EJ was mentioning Johnny Quest, Herculoids, Spacos. Now, I'll be real with you guys. Johnny Quest is very questionable.
Mm.
If we want to say Johnny Quest is very questionable, the way they are produced, the way it was drawn, the way it was designed, it's almost as if it could be mistaken for be anime based on the style of drawing. Donald the Barbarian, I think it was cartoon, but drawn by Japanese animators. There's a lot of cartoon back in the 80s was done by Japanese animators. And I realized it became highly confusing. So I leave it like that. But when you look at anime, theme and storytelling, diverse theme from romance and no offense. I'm sorry. They got so much Japanese romance that I want to puke. Real talk. I'm sorry. I'm being brutal right now. They in anime, there's something for everybody. For all the girls who like romance novel, they got romance anime for y'all crazy females. For real, for real. I will not watch it
Hey,
with you. The way you can make me watch romance anime with you, you have to tie me down.
but you
For
know what?
cold.
And this is why I love anime because, like I said before, anime is like a small package of a big time movie scenery because it allows you to give you the same atmospheres as what you'll get in the movie or in a nice grand scheme of TV series. But
Mhm.
now they put it in anime formation, which actually gives a lot more general ideas to it in a sense. And even then, in some cases, depending on certain animes, it could be cynical.
But here's the thing though. I love anime, but when I found out they had a romance section of anime, I was like, oh hell no. No, no, no. I think in my head, anime supposed to be all action packed, nitty gritty, meant for the guys. No, they got anime
See,
for
but
the
that
girls.
goes to tell you that's the true testament of their diversity.
Yeah,
Why
you're right.
be so
You're right.
one-minded when you can be
You're
multi?
right. But that's why I said, for you can make me to watch a romance anime, you have to tie me up, inject
Right.
Harriet in
Hey,
my
look, hey, I
arm.
don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you.
You have to put Harriet in my arm. You have to threaten me, put my life in danger for me to watch romance anime with you. I will not. No, no.
Hey, I do not blame you. I don't.
I'm sorry. They are so detailed with this romance anime. I was like, who got the time for this? Even the
Hey,
manga, even the
if
manga,
people
yo,
got time for those soap operas, you got time for this. Okay.
yo, real talk, real talk. I tried to understand some of these romance now, my manga, and I was like, I try to be, I'm trying to be open minded, right? But god damn, god, ah, I'm sorry. There is a section for the ladies.
Truly.
The romance anime, I you cannot force me into that. I'm into the action section. I'm into the philosophical section. I'm into like now, just like the romance anime would make me puke. The horror anime, no disrespect. I think the horror anime is worse than live action horror. Real talk. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I think to the
No,
degree
no, I'm
we can
serious.
be on the same thing. I think the only like no, yeah,
Hero
no, 'cause
former.
there's some horror that are just a little bit too comedic, which I don't like, to be honest.
Okay,
And then
look
there's
at
others that
EJ.
just whatever.
Look what EJ throwing right now. Oh, you gotta touch EJ to throw that in the mix. It's only EJ. Always on board. Yuichi Yasuro, my son, Ikoku, and Ranman and a half. No, no offense. That anime right there, Ranman and a half, the new reboot they have on Netflix. Uh, I don't. It's not. I can't say it's really for teens. I can't really say. I'm looking at my kids and I'm trying to remember what was ready to share on Netflix, and I'm like, no. The humor in there is a little bit undercover. High Tide is anime,
Yes, it is.
but High Tide is not that kind of anime we're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly. Because
Peter,
that look,
Peter,
hentai in the lack of fair words is for the late night viewers.
the real late viewer, late night viewer, the one that you put Robotuxin and Nyquil in your kid's soup. So when they
Right,
take it one
right.
time,
Yeah,
they
tell them to
ding
go to
ding
sleep.
ding 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 out cold. Don't wake up.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't need to hear nothing that's about to come through.
Okay then. This is why I say anime is not what you think it is. But also when it comes to horror, ladies and gentlemen, I will say one more time. if you don't have the stomach for horror anime, please, please, and please do me this favor. Do not watch it late at night with the light off. Don't.
You got to watch it late at night. If you want the full effect, you got to watch it late at night.
I'm just telling you, if you don't have the stomach for horror movies, if you think horror movie is bad, that there's certain horror anime will make you jump through the window, literally. There's certain horror anime will make your heart jump out of your body and say F you. Really? EJ.
EJ, you ain't issue. You said no. It's
Ladies and gentlemen, forgive EJ. He got an issue. We need to put EJ in the psych ward right now.
Oh shit! Oh.
EJ need to go to the psych ward. I don't know why he threw that out there. I don't know why he feel like okay.
Oh man, that is beautiful.
EJ, if we have you in the studio, we will hog tie your behind and keep you away from the keyboard.
Oh man,
for real.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh,
you're too comical. You're very comical.
Oh man.
That topic will be for Patreon.
Oh man, that's that. Oh Lord.
That'll be a Patreon only content. We're ever going to talk about that. Okay. If we get that big, we will address that topic in Patreon, not on YouTube, not on Facebook, or any other place. It will be in a Patreon. You have to pay to get in there.
Or our private website where we can do live streams from that port.
That too. Good. EJ, what's wrong with you, EJ? Seriously.
Ah, man, that's humorous. That is so funny to me.
We didn't ask for you to throw the deep end. That deep end meant for another time.
Well, you know what? You can't blame him. He ain't the one that started it. He's just the one that added on to it.
Who started it first?
Hello, Sparta. He asked about
Peter.
The hentai.
Yeah, Peter Ford. Yeah, you got to throw Peter the mix too. You got to throw him first in the dungeon before you throw EJ in the dungeon. Like, seriously. Yeah, you just saying, really.
Hey.
I know you got more to say, so don't tell me you just saying right now.
No, I'm just saying, bro. It's just what it is. It's just what it is.
I'm sorry. Anime itself, there's something we try not to touch, because if you start touching that one, then a bunch of with that happening. We don't need that right now. So yes, like I said, diverse thing from romance to then action, then physiological and psychology. Because like I say, like the horror is crazy. Psychology, yes, it's there. Long form storytelling with ongoing arc, level of consistency that we don't find in comic books, pun intended. Complex character development. What I'm trying to say. Before we start the show, 2 hours before we start the show, EJ, seriously, EJ.
Ah man, you know I ain't gonna start with y'all on this one. I'm not even gonna add this. Look, as far as the last piece, I like the examples. I'm gonna give you real quick because I know you guys can't see it. The examples are Attack on Titans, aka a dark fantasy, and Your Name, a romantic drama. Oh Lord.
Last right towards another one, almost mixed horror action. Inuyasha, almost a little bit gory. Tokyo Ghoul. I cannot watch Tokyo Ghoul. I'm sorry. I try. No, thank you. There are a ton of anime. And not the anime that EJ mentioned about, but we're not going to talk about it right now. EJ trying to get our ass in trouble.
Hey, I say it like this, people. If you search it, that is at your own discretion. That has nothing to do with me and David on this platform.
Thank you
very much.
Whatever EJ referred to you, we're not responsible for it. Okay?
Oh snap! Oh.
He has started to go on the deep end. We are not trying to follow him down that rabbit hole. If you search it, you find it, you're on your own on that. Do you understand me? Don't come on this show and say we referred it to you. I'll say, no, I did not refer it to you. My partner did not refer it to you. It's EJ. The problem is we're not there to hog tie him. We're not there to hog tie his hand so he won't type any more reference. Okay? You say okay now, you will find another one and put it right into the chat and then we know you have lost it.
You're gonna be like, hey, look, I forgot. Yeah, you know, hey, look.
Yeah.
See, something told me to put this here, so yeah, I'm just gonna put it here.
Yeah. Yeah, you will understand when I say anime is not meant for kids. It is not.
At least for the majority.
Based on his reference, you could tell right off the back. Oh hell no, it's not.
Oh man.
The last one. Are you sure there's no kid here? Okay. You're lying to yourself.
Hey, I say it like this. There's nothing more grown.
We can't hear you, Marcus.
But well, he's not even on the screen. So how can
not even on the screen either. But we'll talk. The last topic, last one thing under the storytelling theme, what it said, because since we're all blocking and
oh no, I already read it already.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I'm telling you, there's so much on the anime that you will find. There's so many genres. There's always something for anybody, and once again, the anime is really mostly meant for kids. It is not. Some animes that my kids watch, if it's meant for adults, I have to be there. If they get,
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you now. If they get to that particular tier, I say fast forward, or I will knock you forward. Give me a second. I want to go and beat up my daughter right now because she wanted to show me off on my show.
You say he's gonna beat up his daughter?
Marcus, when you're a father, when you get there, don't complain.
Yeah, I'm all for corporal punishment, but damn. I know you guys are talking about anime, but I don't know what you guys have been talking about. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to Sparta, CBN.
Yeah, we're talking about a difference between anime and cartoon, because this has been an age-old argument for more than 2 decades. People calling cartoon anime, people calling anime cartoon, which is not. There's so much depth and detail when it comes to anime until Peter and EJ decide to go to the deep end and bring their reference.
Hey, sometimes you gotta go deep sea fishing or deep sea swimming.
Basically.
Sometimes you gotta go to the dark side.
What you talking about is beyond the dark side.
hey.
And let me tell you what I said. Let me tell you what I said on the dark side. Shout out to this. This might be risky, DJ Hemp, and the rest of the non-nerd people. Because if they find out about this extra dark side, they're like, "Oh, you have all that? Oh, you didn't know that? Because you're not a nerd. Get out of here." So I'm just throwing some shade on that one.
Hey, all I know is
I don't want to give them any extra reference to our nerdom, and they start to realize, like, oh shit, I know all this exists. Why would you know?
Hey, look, I'm gonna just say this: with the level of anime, I don't care what no one say. You call this for nerds, you are stupid. This is not for nerds. This is just for people that are looking at this on a higher plane. And if you don't want to be at a higher plane, that's your problem, not ours.
And
so what series have you guys talked about so far? What series have you guys brought up as examples?
We're not talking about any series per se. We're just more so breaking down the differences between cartoons and anime and then bringing some examples along the way.
So the next slide, so we can get into before I start going a little too deep before EJ bring another reference.
Which he more likely will.
I'm glad you didn't post no visual and Climax.
If you were able to do that, it's over. It's over, bro.
and we had to hunt you down for that.
No, I was gonna say because yeah, there's kids like animated series and there's like adult animated type series,
And
um, and then just like there's young anime for like young audiences. There's adult mature anime for you know it's just like video games. There's some that are rated E for everybody, and there's some that are rated M for mature. So it just goes back to that. Like I don't know if you guys watched it when being younger, but they had the Adult Swim, the Cartoon Network for a reason,
and I'm glad you
and some of
mentioned it.
those were. Oh,
And I'm glad you mentioned right now the topic target audience. Primarily with children, with exception to adult focused cartoon, aka Fox and Cartoon Network and Hulu, Family Guy, The Simpsons, American
American Dad,
Dad.
Star
Boondocks.
Trek.
Boondock is almost close to saying anime, but it do have American adult theme in there too. A little bit too
Yeah.
much
Right.
of it.
And at least with Boondocks, I will say that it's more in detail than the normal, like the typical, Family
That is
Guy's
true.
assistant, because at least there's actual like true necessities to the actual life of what that is producing
Mhm.
and pushing out. So yeah.
But if you look on an anime is where like you hear what they say, appear to a broader keyword, broader, not a focus more group like children and exception. We have too many category. Broader audience with genre for children, which is Pokemon. They will sure going to be talking about between Pokemon and Digimon. When that show comes up, we'll go in deep on that one.
Right.
That's for the teen than the kid. Demon Slayer. No disrespect. Demon Slayer is not for teen. It's mostly toward to the adult. How to say?
Yeah,
Am I
I mean,
wrong?
when you think about, but when you think about when it says teens, like you gotta think about it, like most teenagers are playing those types of games, like when they're at
No,
like,
okay.
so you would say it's somewhat
Yes.
like that.
Demon Slayer can be for the teen to a certain degree.
Yeah, to
Pokemon is they're children, yeah. Then for the adult, I can't see the back because we're all
oh yeah, the
people.
adults is Death Note.
Say it again.
The adults is Death Note. That's the reference. The adults.
And there are too many adults. And Attack on the Titan is for adults.
Right, and then the last line is explore mature and complex themes.
Mhm. And believe me when I say don't, EJ, I don't want no reference to the mature complex either, please. You've done enough already.
Hey, look! If we don't have if we don't have
and,
no
and Peter,
referral, then
don't egg him on
hey.
either. I know you're itching to put your own reference. EJ is hanging himself. Don't join in the boat.
I remember watching whether it was like Gundam, and then you had Yu Yu Hakusho, but then you had like Bleach, Baki.
How would I say this?
You had
Yu
like
Yu
all these
Hakusho
other.
production made it look like it's 14.
I mean, it is because when you think
No,
about it,
that
they
is
were in
one.
high school.
That'll be one anime we will soon talk on one of these days, one of these episodes. Yu Yu Hakusho look like based on the production look like meant for teen, but if they want it to be redone, remastered, you'll be surprised. It's not really meant for teen. It's meant for adult.
Well, it's not, but I think you have to think about it too, though, right? The thing is with Yu Yu Hakusho, just like what we said about Demon Slayer earlier, it starts from kids because guess what? Where's the scenery? High school.
Mhm.
But when it gets to the actionary parts, now it's more adult scenery because of the whole battles and everything
Bingo.
else that goes around.
And
Because of who they're fighting.
same thing with Inuyasha. It started like a teen thing, but it's more toward the adult thing. With another anime that we want. Solo Leveling.
Naruto.
Well, that's
no, hold on. Naruto is very unique because it first started with 14.
Yeah, but I'll say,
hold on. Let me phrase it.
Mm.
It first started toward the edge of living for children entering the teen. As more episode progressed, it started to realize it's not really for teen, but it started to flow into the adult arena. So it's going back and forth between teen and adult.
Well, I'll even
correct?
say this. I wouldn't even say it would be like. Well, you said teens, right? More so than children. Okay, you said teens. Because
Based on certain episodes and storyline within Naruto, it go back and forth between the teen side to the adult side.
I say it like this, right? I honestly, because of how it was done and how the atmosphere of where we're talking about, I would morally say it's morally for adults. Because you got to think about it. Naruto and everybody that most of the characters in there, they were in a camp of a particular clan, and they were learning from this jump how to build the chakra and everything else, and to start going out there and do missions. So for that sense ability, I wouldn't even equate this to even teenagers. In most cases, I'll claim that morally for adults. You're just having young teens that look just like the other teens. So you probably say it's teens related because of the fact of teens. But when you understand the level of these missions and everything that they have to do and transpire, this could have been way more worse than anything you could thought of. So I would morally say this is more adult. This has the imagery for teens, but it's way more for adults. But yeah, we can say the same thing.
That's good.
I could see that. I could agree with that. More like the young college guys to young college people to
Yeah,
older
because think
crowds.
about it, and the reason why I say this is because if you think about if you think about Pain, right? If we were to look at his story through his timeline and start from this, that's nowhere near for kids. I don't care how old he is. That's
Bingo.
nowhere near for kids.
Bingo.
That he was thrown into the worst conditions of battle. No.
And that's what I'm saying. Naruto is like a special case. If you look at Naruto that way, there's a lot of anime that have storyline and scenery and the plot. You start to wonder, is this really for kids? No, it's not.
So let me bring up one other one. For example, it's an American-based animated series. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. King of the Hill.
King of the Hill is more on the cartoon side, not anime.
But it's a lot of the stuff is mature
And
related stuff that's like mature related
So-
adult scenarios. You know, like that kids wouldn't understand.
you're
here's the
correct.
thing, right? So just to clarify, because we did broke down the differences.
Because a lot of innuendos in that show.
Yeah,
Remember?
but again, there was a different sections of how we broke down the meanings of what is cartoons at the grand scheme of its base theme. And so in more cases, yes, it is a cartoon, but it's a cartoon for adults. So it's pretty much the Family Guy,
Yeah.
the American Dad, standalones on that notion. But yeah, pretty much.
And then the other one that I was gonna say was when it comes to anime, I think it was. It used to come out. I don't know. I don't think it was Adult Swim that it would come. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I think it was Adult Swim. Yeah.
That
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Well, Aqua Team Hunger Force, and just help me out with this. I wouldn't consider that anime for the simple fact of one thing only, because that is nowhere near in a manga, as far as I would know. Okay, thank you. So that's American.
Yeah.
That's not a Japanese anything like that. That's just a late night show that they did for
Yeah.
adults. Well, you
Okay,
put
yeah,
South
okay,
Park.
no, my
South
bad.
Park is in
Cartoon.
American animation. Where else?
Cartoon.
Yeah, where else?
So we in this to me this area,
same thing.
so we in this area to talk about target or whatever cartoon put on the chat, we'll let you know where it fall in category because South Park is not anime, that's a cartoon. Just like King of the Hill. King of the Hill is cartoon, but it's adult focused cartoon.
It's a rated R cartoon for sure. That's a rated R cartoon.
But there's a lot of adult content they be pushing on the American side, mostly on Fox. I mentioned the station that broadcast on most of those adult cartoons is not on Cartoon Network on Hulu, it'll be on Fox.
But South Park never got the green light with Fox as much.
Well, yeah,
It was more on Comedy Central.
Yeah,
Comedy Central, and
well,
then
yeah, but they're not always like. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these quote unquote adult version cartoons are not on the Fox or on the on the ABC.
No, you're right.
They're on the other sections. That's why when I mentioned Archer's on FX. So
then you have Beavis and Butthead MTV.
Yeah, see exactly. And then of course Celebrity Deathmatch, all that stuff.
Yeah, so those are
man, I haven't seen that in years. Celebrity
they
Deathmatch.
fall toward the cartoon side of things.
Right.
Not anime. Anime, well, So where EJ took the conversation to.
Don't get him. Hey, don't blame EJ for what Sparta started. Okay.
Yeah, Peter started it first. He bring a particular terminology that we don't not probably saying out here.
Even though it is anime, and he knows it because you can just do the research and Google it. God damn it.
Oh God,
Ah.
that took me off guard.
And I listened to, I think one of the big ones too. When I was younger, I didn't really jump on it when I was young, but I read into it a little bit more later. Was Full Metal Alchemist.
That one is not really so much teen.
Yeah, that's it.
That is so
Okay.
much not teen at all. Cause Full Metal Alchemist, yo,
Oh, yeah.
you were thinking teen.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not no teens.
You were thinking teen from the beginning. When you start to go in further, you start to realize, oh, this is not teen. This is full adult. Samurai.
I mean, yeah, the kid.
Well, because you start realizing what the guys are going through, like the brothers are going through internally.
Samurai
Like,
X is another one. That is not teen.
Samurai Jack would be considered manga, right? Though.
Samurai Jack is cartoon. Samurai X.
Yeah, but it has manga though in it.
No,
though.
it's cartoon.
No. Because you got to understand, when you talk about manga is the Japanese comic book entry. So if you can't find a Samurai Jack comic book entry or aka manga, then it's not considered Japanese.
And that's why I said the two. The Samurai.
It has Japanese, art form in it, but that's the
Samurai
difference.
Jack is an American cartoon that's trying to pay homage to Japanese animation. Samurai X at the Ono Kenshi is Japanese anime. Samurai Champloo is another one. Samurai 7 is another one. There's a lot of look like teen anime, but more like adult anime based on the theme. Some of that was awesome and everything, but compared to the original Samurai iconic one, Samurai X, Oni Kenshin, no, it's not. Oni Kenshin, aka Samurai X, was a big deal. It was ridiculous. Then you got Samurai Triple, it was crazy. Then you got Hell Paradise, one of the latest anime that came out, season 2 to be coming out soon. That's ridiculous.
Right. But real quick, EJ, yes, you're right. Celebrity Deathmatch is claymation, but it's still
animation.
But you also say that Samurai Jack was Korean animators. Yeah.
I was gonna say too, Castlevania, like Cowboy Bebop.
No, hold on. Castlevania is based on a video game, right? The video game based was in Japan or America?
But they have anime though in it, right?
But I think Castlevania would be. I need to remember because I don't know that too well. That's sort of brand new to me. But I'll check that out. But Cowboy Bebop
anime.
Now that is a particular because I have to remember if that's which one that is. But
they tried making a live action of that. It was sorry.
Yeah, so that was like a space western, right? It was space western.
Yeah.
Now here, I'm glad that EJ put it. Samurai Jack is Korean animator. Here we will have another topic that related to this topic because right now, not only we have Japanese anime, we have Korean animator, and we got Chinese animator. So there are a few new terminals that are coming to play. But now you have Korean doing their own thing, and Chinese are also jump into the mix of things. So they got their own name or their own genre of anime or cartoon, however you want to call it. I'm glad we have this conversation, but this is not a simple topic like you think it is.
Right. So real quick, Marcus, no, Castlevania is not anime. It has anime inspired style, but it's not anime. It's from America.
From America?
Yeah, it's from America.
Because they had like anime series. That's why on it.
On Netflix.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. It has the anime texture, but it's not considered an anime of Japan. Like it's not considered that. It's American made.
Like an original product of it.
Yeah, it's an original product, but with but it has its own flair with it. It uses the same style textures. So yeah.
Now you see why this topic is very critical.
But again, it's because that's what they're kind of portraying to us as an audience. Like I knew Castlevania was a
Well, yeah,
video game.
so,
I just
go ahead.
no, I just said all I said was like I knew Castlevania. Like for example, Devil May Cry. Devil
Mhm,
May Cry is considered a video game, but it's through Capcom, right?
mhm.
If I'm not mistaken. And I don't know if they made a series on that. As far as because I know they have comics on it, but would that be considered once it comes out
But
and gets
and
put on
then
the
the thing about
series?
the
Would it be
video
considered
game
anime?
cartoon or anime, sometimes you gotta look at the producer of the game itself. Like Castlevania, who created the game? Who are the creator origin? Oh, there's a new Devil May Cry coming out on Netflix. You're right, there is. And I'm telling you, this topic right now, now that we talk about it, going deeper about it, I think we need to revisit this back. Talk about these new
Mhm.
generation of anime or content. Are they crossing the line now? Because good question. Castlevania, the graphic, the production, it more so look like full time anime. But
But
based on the
real
game.
quick, so yeah, but real quick, let me help you out. So even though Devil May Cry is a game, right? But its origins is a Japanese anime.
Okay, good.
But that's the thing, like you got to check up his origins. I always say this: if you always want to know if something's legitimately an anime, like a Japanese anime, always check if it has a manga. That's the easiest way to figure it out. Because if it has a manga, more likely a Japanese anime, more than anything else.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's go to the next slide because we going in deep now with this type of conversation. Because I don't want to stay here and we try to go in deeper than EJ get a relapse and start throwing some more Easter eggs.
Yeah, let's work this down because we also got another slide for the similarities.
Now,
So,
production techniques. This is where I we may have to venture this in another episode or some more because now we're seeing these new cartoon or these new anime, they are crossing here to the point whereby it's almost like it's hard to tell if
EJ, you're always
you're
welcome,
always
my
welcome
man.
back as long as you don't throw it on a weird Easter eggs like you try to throw a while back.
Hey, AJ, look, if they bite, it's not your fault.
Oh Lord. You want to give EJ more idea to throw out more bait so they'll have a whole onion bite it up. Let me see what he referring to. Oh, no. We're not doing that right now. Cartoon focus on minimal animation, repetitive movement for cost efficiency. Wally, you said that earlier
What
from the
I
beginning of
mentioned
the
earlier.
show. Call that one out.
So
It offers you bright color and simple texture. You call that out during the beginning of the show. It's totally true. Anime, it incorporates cinematic technique like dynamic camera, angle, light, and special effect. And the last one it said,
it says the blend of hand drawn and digital animations with high attention to detail.
now that we mentioned this definition, look at Castlevania. It fall in a category anime, even though the origin anime is fall in the anime, right? Good, fine. Any other thing when we mentioned that had an origin of America but have this type of production that's anime become confusing, don't you think?
Yeah. That's why I said there's only a small few. Like just like if you think about it, I think if you remember the Batman with the Joker and they went to like Japan and they were in that type of art
Oh,
style. I think that was the closest thing as far as anime with the inspiration of anime
bingo.
style
They did
entry.
that. They did that
So
on
yeah,
purpose to give a different look and different style of Batman in that anime thing like looking. And the thing that a lot of people was hooked on that heavy because compared to all the other Batman production they did, that particular Batman production of Batman Ninja, I think that was the name of it. That was the name of the anime movie, Batman and Ninja, or I don't know what it is, but when you see the detail and the design and the graphic and the art, it was an ultra kill. Put that pic on the left, like taping a banana to.
Oh, EJ, you ain't shit.
EJ,
He just said that. That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
this is
Oh,
our
man.
resident troublemaker right now.
Hey, but at least he's talking facts, partially. He's talking
This is the
facts.
only resident troublemaker I cannot get on here because he be throwing me literally off compared to Trevor wants you to piss me off. This one is throwing me off real bad. And it kind of like, oh,
Uh, yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah, let's touch on the next slide. And that
oh
is
boy.
cultural
This is
influence
where
and
we will
global
go
reach.
ballistic again. Culture influence and global reach. Cartoon is mostly inspired by shaped Westerner pop culture and humor, widely distributed and dubbed for global audience. But here's the problem: cartoons don't have much of a heavy reach, unless on elate a bit on the level of popularity. Is not so?
Yeah. No, that is so. Because I mean, look, from other different perspectives of other platforms, I have noticed that when it comes to talking anime through other sceneries, there's other countries that will watch the videos for that overall. So, and they will be from other countries. So definitely there is a differential of diversity when it comes to expanding out. And I think more so than not, it is one of those things. I think the only thing that really helps the diversity from the American side, aka what I said from the comic animation side, that's the only where they're able to pivot out, because of course there's more characters from the outer ends, which gives a more broader scenery for the global reach. But as far as cartoons, that is a very niche based entry as
And
far as
that
thinking
and this
in
is what I've been
America.
trying to point out. For the past couple of years, or for the past 2 decades, cartoon have been fall behind anime because based on the culture influence and global reach on anime is integral to Japanese cultural identity and soft power. That's one. But it's more than this Japanese identity. It's going global fandom. That's a ballistic. And the other one I cannot read behind our bodies,
Say it again.
besides growing global fandom,
Mm. Oh yeah.
what's it behind that? What did it say else?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Uh, growing global
Oh,
fandom
you're doing a
with
question? I thought you were making a statement.
conversation and streaming platforms.
Here's the thing about anime. Anime, okay, EJ is not going. He said, okay, kid, I'm 28 now. Try to behave and carry on without me. Behave. Who was not behaving? You, EJ? You was not behaving.
Hey man, thank you EJ for coming on through.
You were egging it. You were throwing some hints. Like, hey, check this one out. Hey, check this one out.
Hey, think of it like this. You know how they did it in Family Guy where they got the piece of candy? Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Get trapped. Hey, look. Like again, hey, if you take the bait, that is on you. That is on you.
Now, here the big picture I want people to understand. You're looking at anime. Anime got too much audience power compared to cartoons. Almost every anime depend on the creator and how perfected it was. It developed a level of fan base either is too strong, too overpowered, cannot argue with a fan and they want to see more of it. Dragon Ball franchise, perfect example. Mobile Gundam franchise, perfect example. Um, Naruto, perfect example. Let's look at the new ones that coming out. There are some you cannot lie. I talked with my peer before we would start the show, and we talk about this topic. We were like, man, it is so easy to go in deep on this topic. So many things to cover concerning the integral Japanese culture identity. What kind of anime? You say you don't like One Piece. I think honestly, if you don't like One People, you need to pay attention to One Piece. One Piece storyline is very uniquely different from Dragon Ball Z. You were telling me that that the creator of One Piece made Lucy Luffy give fire to be turned into Goku Ultra Instinct, and not the thing.
But you know what's funny though? I will say one thing though. You know what I realized about One Piece as far as for what I know about it? Because respectfully, guys, yes, I know you're gonna hate me for this, but I have not watched One Piece yet. But one thing I have remembered, right? Usually a lot of the One Piece characters they get stronger through eating this particular fruit, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
No.
So I'm not mistaken. Right? Yes or no?
Oh, so I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'm not mistaken. So if you notice, right, in one of the many Dragon Ball Z movies, AK, do y'all remember Turtle or Turtle? Yeah, Turtle.
Turtle,
Turtle.
which is supposed to be another of Goku other brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly, because they look very alike. But you know, Saiyans, I mean, well, pretty much they confirmed this, but Saiyans technically
It's because of a haircut.
Visual sense, but even though they're in a different tone. In some cases, put it like this: Turles is the black version of Goku, even though they have no replication. You can say it like that, in a sense. But when Turles had the movie, right? Notice the tree of power got the fruit, and they usually ate the fruit to gain stronger. That was a nice play, and they did it first, as far as I know. They did it first, as far as I know. So it was very interesting to me how they played on it, but they played on it even more because, of course, Turles, quote unquote, is that movie is quote unquote not canon. Ergo is not really though nothing in it, even though there is a way of how they play on the timeline. But the thing is, I find it interesting how Dragon Ball can play on that timeline to tell you like when did this came into play, but yet we don't ever have Turles ever coming into the TV series ever. Period. Which is why this is another reason. This goes back to my quote unquote. Let's not talk about DC and Marvel has inconsistencies because guess what? Dragon Ball once again, even through movies, have inconsistencies.
That's what I say. Dragon Ball is one of the very few anime that is guilty of that, and I'll be honest about it. They are guilty about that. But so many other anime don't fall in that category.
Yeah, and plus, I'll say this to be fair because they have fixed that. Because notice when they did the super movies, technically the super movies became what? Every single, you know, they eventually made them into episodes piece by piece. So that's fair.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But what else?
How many slides do we have left?
Hmm?
How many slides do we have left? We're about 1 hour.
We're about an hour and 30 plus minutes, but we're still, but we're gonna knock these down real quick because we're gonna get these down. But one thing I want to add on to this, right, real quick, because here's my thing, right? How can cartoons reach the overall scenery where it could be global? The thing is, it has to be able to touch a broader audience. I'll say this, right? We mentioned before the Transformers, we mentioned before the G.I. Joes and everything else. But notice one thing, if you actually were able to expand where it's more fruitile, where it's more able to spread across other planes and other countries, this will be a little bit more. Perfect example, He-Man. Well, He-Man was introduced into one of these games that I played, right? And I've noticed a lot of people that are not from here knew about He-Man and knew about, like, it was my childhood history and everything. But notice, He-Man is what? An American-made cartoon or animation, however you want to look at it. And because of that, it made me realize, okay, well, that tells me there is enough wiggle room for cartoons to be mobile in a global sense. But the thing is, what are potentially those cartoons that are making it out there, more pushed out there in the wider sense, and why? Why is it being received more than just the typical cartoon with the humors? But then, of course, that could also be linked to countries and their guidelines and what they're willing to take in because, of course, they have guidelines. And I think that's another thing, too, you got to think about. Certain guidelines will keep certain things away from the ethers. So you got to take that into consideration as well when it comes to when it comes to cartoons not being able to be pushed out forward into the broader scheme of the global plane. So, yeah. But
I was gonna say the Spider-Man animated films too. Like they reach such a broad audience too, and that was such a major impact how the animation was
but we
done in
talk
that too.
but
All
we
the
talked
awards
about
it
it
won
earlier
too.
that we cannot call Marvel cartoon and DT cartoon as regular cartoon because as detailed as it is, it's close to being like anime. They have to be given another name. So he said we'll call it comic anime or
Well, I call it comic animation. That's why I call it comic animation because it stems from
Yeah,
comic books.
sounds about right.
Cartoons are stemming from just drawing and slapping on some figurations. You're drawing from a canvas. Whereas comics, you're drawing from a canvas, but at the end of the damn day, you're actually scripting a very well induced storytelling. Whereas cartoons,
Yeah,
there's not much of a story. There's just whatever's the new funny shit show of the day.
bingo.
yeah, a little funny adventure,
And
you know, whatever.
and that's my
They're up to for
main
the
pet
day.
peeve about cartoon. It doesn't make sense no more. It doesn't. There's no storyline. There's no ongoing arc. Just whatever idea come to mind, they just throw it and slap it on there, and that's just it. Compared to anime, there's
That
go ahead.
see, that's why when I saw Nickelodeon make its change in like Cartoon Network where it comes to animation or like cartoon shows, it made a shift and like this crazy obsession with SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm gonna use that for example, right? This weird, crazy obsession with it, and I thought, okay, well, what about all Doug, Cat Dog, Courage the Cowardly Dog, you know, of these variety of these hit shows that, for whatever reason, they kind of just faded into footnote, you know,
Well,
that were actually more of a better animation than me and cartoon.
yeah, but I'll say this though, Marcus, because like you bring up the other animation cartoons, right? It's like why did those tank and yet SpongeBob is still pushing forward? Because understand one thing, SpongeBob was trapped in a spectrum of for kids, and because of that, it's always going to still be alive. Same thing
And
with
gays.
yeah, same thing with the Fairly Odd Parents, you know, stuff like that. Those are always going to be trapped within kids sections. Whereas Courage the Cowardly Dog, in a lot of senses, you may think it's for kids, but reality, I would dictate that more for teenagers
It was
and
dark.
adults.
It was dark.
Because if you're just basing on Courage alone, you got to think about the mentality of what Courage went through as a dog, let alone if you think
That dog was
and then when you think
traumatized.
about all the other things that coalesce within, it's just a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's a very, very different scenery for Courage as far as it is with other things, which is more towards teenagers / adult content. So with those type of contents and everything else, they definitely fall off, but because of more so of the adult entry. SpongeBob and anything else like it will keep on going because they're kid entries, and there always will be kid entries.
And go to that
Yeah.
circulation of being rebooted over and over to the point it's straight annoying. Now
Right.
compared to an anime where you have the long term, long storytelling with ongoing arc with depth and character complex creation, it's completely different. And these anime based on its fan base, it can go for a long time.
But I'll say
And
this though, there is certain cartoons that had a fan base that would love to keep certain things going, and I'll prove one of them right now. One of the biggest one of them all, that's a cartoon on Nickelodeon that everyone wanted to come back and still be alive, was none other than Danny Phantom. That was the shit. That deserved to stay alive. Even
Johnny
though it was a
Phantom?
cartoon, that deserved to stay alive. Because that, hey, give it time. That was getting greedy. That was really getting greedy.
Yeah.
was
That was
20
actually a good
I'll
one.
give it props. It did have a strong fan base, only within in the United States,
True. But I
but not on
guarantee you,
not on a global stage. Dragon
no,
Ball,
I get that. I get it. But
Dragon Ball,
go ahead.
One Piece, and what other anime? Mobile Suit Gundam had a massive global fan.
That
Gundam was one.
sure,
Gundam was one of
definitely
mine.
know that if you look at the landscape within China, like within Asian overall, you look at the landscape of it all. Oh, you know that for sure because that is too deep. The atmospheres, the location, all that is just too strong.
But in the 90s, they throw in a new level of anime that also divided the landscape. It'll be the next show we'll be talking about soon, coming up soon. Pokemon versus Digimon. That was another headache.
Hey, look, Digimon was the perfect counter to the Americans. What's that
Pokemon.
thing? No, not Pokemon. I'm talking about those little things, the little toys that those girls had. Those Titch or something like that. I forgot what this called, but it's that toy that they played. That had a keychain. It was for girls at the time, and Digimon was pretty much for the guys. It was.
I remember you're talking about. I remember that toy.
Yeah. It was
the name of
those
it.
throwback toys. It was the perfect counter. And then they made an extra counter to it, which came to Pokemon, and it did the same thing. Oh my goodness, that was beautifully. That was smart. That was smart.
You got to remember, like the other one that was there around the Pokemon Digimon was Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
That Yu-Gi-Oh, when it came out,
So,
the phenomenon.
No,
Yu-Gi-Oh
Yu-Gi-Oh's on a
was-
different plane though. Yu-Gi-Oh's on.
Yu-Gi-Oh is on a different playing ground because the phenomena of Yu-Gi-Oh didn't expect it to be so huge and so global. Now, let me take about Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is more a promotion of the card game, right?
Yeah, of course.
Pokemon was more promotion of the video game they have for Nintendo, for the Nintendo Game Boy. If I'm correct, yeah, when Game Boy first came out, that's one of the first game promotion.
Right. It's one of the biggest ones, yeah.
And the biggest one, but Yu-Gi-Oh itself, the fan base was so historically huge. It's a Japanese-based card game that hit heavy in the US.
Yep.
And they don't hit global. Whereby people were collecting, people were trying to master the game. They have other card game and anime that trying to compete with it, Card Sector or whatever you want to call it.
They got Vanguard. They have
Vanguard, yeah.
I forgot they had some other ones. I forgot what the name was, but
They're like 2 or 3 other ones.
Yeah, there was a couple of them. But one thing about each of those, like they had their own uniqueness to them. But the thing that the reason why they can never trump card Yu-Gi-Oh is I would say one, the level of competition. That's
Bingo.
one. Because let's be real, they're at a global scale. Like right now, to this day, you're still having.
They still got tournaments.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
That
They
is
have
one
tournaments,
anime
and it's very
that,
global.
but that one anime I will say that it super succeed in their toy/game promotion because the Yu-Gi-Oh cards to this day, if you ask one who have the first to 7th generation Yu-Gi-Oh card collection, it's hard to find someone who, someone who had it to be sold, it costs a lot of money.
It does, because trust me, I've seen these Yu-Gi-Oh content creators, boy, it's crazy. Because I'm telling you, there's nothing. Because think about this: you're not also getting a TV show about a card game. You're collecting the cards. You're collecting the cards because they're going to be extremely valuable, especially got the first editions, and you lock them up. This is a card game, a competitive card game, and then at the same time, a collection item. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. You just can't. You just can't.
It's funny how you just mentioned that. I remember my daughter gave me these things for my birthday. These are Yu-Gi-Oh cards. These are Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm going to put it right there in the screen.
Oh, that.
This became a huge hit in America.
Exactly.
You see?
And you know the thing too, Black David.
Yeah.
I have like a booklet and I have like a binder where the slots go for the cards.
Exactly.
And I have it's kind of like a booklet or a binder with the slots of the cards.
You're wrong for saying that. There were too many heavy collector of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They had multiple binders.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that's what I'm saying because like
they were for the packs too.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. So like so what I did was I started collecting them, and I've been trying to get them appraised to see certain values of certain cards, because I know some of them are worth a lot of money, especially like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, the Egyptian god card.
You gonna mention that one too? Here's the thing.
And then the Red Eyes Black Dragon too.
Here's the problem. If everybody understands Yu-Gi-Oh card, there's a number system for each edition that comes out. And these people who are heavy collectors will have multiple binders and they follow the number of the issue. And they binder, you cannot mix them out. It had to go based on the number on the card. We had 0001, you put it 001. And people were when I said it was it was a war. A lot of these stores made their killing selling Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yep. Especially if you know that there's supposed to be an limited edition card within the packs, you're more likely going to buy the whole thing.
Just to collect over 1,000 plus Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Oh, here, look at Peter. I sent my Pokemon card. I'm mad. Same good dollar off than my Pikachu birthday was $900.
God.
They ain't talking about Pikachu Pokemon. Talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh.
Hey, look.
Yu-Gi-Oh card was more expensive than Pokemon cards.
Not anymore. They changed that, boy. Pokemon. No, trust me. Pokemon are becoming a little bit loony with their prices these days. I'm telling you.
So hold on. Are you telling me the stock market for Yu-Gi-Oh went down and the stock market for Pokemon just?
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's way more better for you to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards than it is Pokemon. Literally. But the reason why is because Pokemon are giving you in these nice big fucking boxes these days, which means they're trying to really plaster your ass with that, which is why they're able to quote unquote hit you with the prices, which is insane. But Yu-Gi-Oh on the other hand, not so much. But sheesh, you look at that, you be like, I'm not touching you. But even then with Pokemon, same.
That's the thing too, because
cards.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I seen guys like on these channels, these social media channels and like content, and they'll be spending like $1,000 here or $800 there on a pack of Pokemon cards or something, or even, and that's and that's on the low end. That's a cheap, that'd be considered like a cheap price. There's guys that could spend 5,000, 10,000, and I'm like, bro, like how much are you getting for your money's worth? And some of these guys, they have like one of these guys, he posts and he'll have shorts and he'll be like, hit or miss or type thing, and he'll have like a certain like momentum of a music, and he'll be going through each card until he tries to find one that if he has a hit or a miss of a pack you get, because like some of them will come with like what, a 12 cards or something like that, or 15 cards or something like that when you open up a small pack, and like you'll see if you get one, and sometimes he's like, well, I took a loss on this one, and then he'll go on the shelves or whatever. It's a lot of money, man.
But here's
a lot of money.
All being the earliest first 7 episodes, no, first 7 season of Pokemon, they always have a toward the end of the episode, the addition a new focus Yu-Gi-Oh card to collect, and they were doing that on purpose so people go to the store. Now, seeing that Pokemon is now overtaken, because let's be correctly, they're still airing Yu-Gi-Oh anime right now, but the new Yu-Gi-Oh anime is dropping in popularity because it's not following the so-called storylines it was having before or whatever it was doing. It's a change to be made, but Pokemon for some reason have been consistent in their storyline, their arc, how they went about it, and I think that's the reason why the Pokemon stock went back up.
I think Pokemon always stays consistent. But the main thing is because you got to think about it. The TV shows is one thing, but I think by the time most people get to the games and even in the cards, it's pretty much a wrap. Like that's the main thing. Like the TV series was just the TV series. In most cases, you can deal with that being what it is. But once you got the game, it was pretty much a lock and it was a shoo-in, right? But as for Yu-Gi-Oh was morely about the TV series. And then, as it grew, it always grew as far as how the card game developed. But one thing that it sort of became a nuisance was the pretty much the storyline of who these people are, where their duties in it, and then it's like, how do they contribute to the show ultimately?
Then later on, it's the style to play the card game, because there's like almost 6 to 7 style play when it comes to playing Yu-Gi-Oh. But systematically speak, they have a unique order how to play it.
Right.
So if you don't learn it, don't jump on it. Now, this is what I'm talking about: cultural influence and global reach. As we're going into different anime that have massive fan base, you talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, you talk about Pokemon, talk about Digimon. These these was the one that anyone in the 90s and the 2000s was influenced by heavily to a degree. But Dragon Ball was the old days, Bleach was old, and there's other anime along the way. You know what I'm saying? There's so many anime with unique fan base that's so iconic you can pass down to the next generation.
Mhm.
And that's how powerful Japanese animation is. And imagine how many anime that are out there that have that type of level of power to this day right now.
I mean, then that's my thing. But I think the problem with those, they fall through the cracks every time. AKA Thundercats, you dicks.
I always thought like Thundercats and He-Man were kind of like those like opposite rivals
Now,
or something.
since you mentioned
Well,
Thundercat,
I don't,
is
I
that
won't say they're
cartoon
ultimate
or
rivals. They're
anime?
actually similar to each other in a sense.
Is Thundercat cartoon or anime to you?
No, Thundercats.
but they competed with each other, right? When it came out in the
Well, yeah.
80s.
Well, Thundercats is a cartoon, but one thing, but it's on the higher scale, even in the throwback sense. It's on a higher scale because of detail.
Okay.
But one thing I will say though, it definitely the last one definitely has some like it was really crisp. I won't say it was anime style ish. I don't know if
Okay.
it is.
Which was better though? In your opinion, what was
Yeah.
better,
It was
Thundercats or
better,
He-Man?
but they dropped the ball.
So you're saying what's better between Thunderman or He-Man?
Thundercats or He-Man? Well, to you, the
Oh,
shows,
If
the
I had to
series.
choose, personally, I'm more of a Thundercat person than He-Man.
you know what? You're not gonna go into a truth yet. You will have a show for that. You're definitely gonna have a show for that.
Yeah. Peter, make sure you. Well, actually, well, you already mentioned, so I'll just come back
No,
and
we're gonna
rewatch
put a
it and write
show.
this down. Yeah.
I'm
Because
glad
I'm
he.
gonna write that
I'm
down.
glad he
'Cause-
brought that one
No,
up. Which
remember
is
we
better?
talked about this. Remember we talked. I mentioned this before, right? You
Mhm.
noticed I mentioned this before because I told you there is a lot of similarities. That's why I said that if He-Man was before Thundercats, then Thundercats is more likely a copyation of it, but in a different sense.
On the day we had a episode concerning which is better, Thundercat or He-Man, whoever watched this show, if you have your pick and say which one is better, we want you on that episode on that day. Either you in that chat room or you join us on the panel because you're gonna go in on this.
Look,
Not
Rock
you're not
Smack.
sparing you're
I
not sparing
hear you.
nobody.
I hear you, and that's
You're
why I'm
not sparing
hoping.
nobody. There's no mercy for Thundercat. There's no mercy for He-Man. If they screwed up, they screwed up. If they make it through, they make it through. We're not playing game with it. Do what we're doing here right now. We ain't sparing no mercy on anything. No one getting the baby treatment up in here. We calling out.
That's why I said what I said earlier. Because I mean, I knew what I was doing. I asked that question because Thundercats,
No,
He-Man,
yeah,
all these
no,
hit shows like GI
yeah.
Joe, all those shows. I just want to see like a gauntlet of okay, what would be the equivalent to GI Joe in that show, that time frame, or in the throughout the 90s and 80s. Like, what would be that comparison to how hit of a series? Because if y'all know, a lot of the GI Joe stuff that gets sold for a lot of money. And I was like, yo, like I seen the prices on these kind of thing. Oh, like, it's ridiculous. Like the action figures, but I'm like, bro, I had to look into it. I'm all for investing.
I'm letting you know right now on this series or this anime unlock, we're not sparing no topic. Whatever topic we're gonna jump on, we dissecting it. Literally,
Yeah.
we're not playing around. How much life do you have left before?
No, look,
I
hey, look, we're gonna go until we get this done.
we
That's
ha-
what I'm saying.
I told Wally we were going in on this topic.
Oh yeah, no,
Talking about the general.
we're gonna do this until we get the whole slides done. So we're gonna get this done, but there's a whole lot of things to definitely talk about in a mixture of things. But definitely, like I said before, like look, Thundercats and He-Man are very similar. The only difference is in between both of those two. The one thing I will sit here and say is, with He-Man on his side of the story is they actually were doing a little bit more of a builder of character. They was expanding characters because, as you know, they did She-Ra side of the story. So that's one thing you got to give some fruit take to, in a sense, for those that like it. But of course, that was more pivoted to the females because to push that side of the story. But yeah, but definitely one of the things of that is just one of those. But yeah, Thundercats was it was pretty hard to deal with. But yeah, that's just one of the main things. But let's get these done, and then yeah, we're gonna definitely come back with more conversations of these. So
Oh,
let's
we
move
got
on.
we got do our homework on this because every episode we will be talking about. We're doing our deep homework on this. After this episode, the next episode we'll talk about next week. We got to do our work on that one.
Right. So real
The
quick,
misconception.
misconception.
Oh, I'll read that one.
Only for children, and then reality includes adult-focused content, which is dark humor or satire.
Satire and document.
Okay.
We did talk about this.
Yeah, we did talk about
We did talk about it, and we were going in on that about it. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions. But let's be real. A lot of cartoons they do have it's for kids, but they do have adult-focused cartoons as well.
Right. And
Do
then
have that.
for anime,
But anime,
misconceptions is only for kids or niche audience, reality, diverse genres of all demographics.
aka EJ throwing the Easter egg before he went to bed. Hello.
You gotta let that go.
That lets you know it's not for kids. Hello.
You
And blame Peter for to start it up. He the cause of it.
you
Peter
gotta
started
let
that
it go.
nonsense. Hello.
Right. Anime is
Yeah,
more.
anime, of
Yeah.
course,
Yes, it is.
by far.
That's for sure.
Literally, because the storyline, the arc, the theme, the blood and gut, the gore, the nudity, and the extra Easter egg that I'm glad EJ's not back to throw more.
Oh Lord, let him live. Let him live. But real quick, conclusion to this side of the slide is with cartoons and anime share the medium of animation. They differ significantly in origin, style, storytelling, and cultural context. Both forms have unique strengths and cater to diverse audience worldwide. Question for the audience: which do you prefer and why? Let us know.
Now,
Let us know.
before you answer that question, I'll go make this announcement, and I'm not being nice about it. If you like cartoon, then you have We Brain Cell.
Oh Lord.
What if you like both?
There's no both because no.
Oh,
Let
so you
me
can't
tell you
have
why I
both?
say that. Me and Wally have gone in deep, and we realize one thing: when it comes to cartoon, there's no consistency in most cases. It's more dumbing down, make you almost brain dead in some case. The so-called quirky humor is more like trash humor.
I can't believe what you just said, Black David. How dare you?
Wally, was I joking around when I was saying that earlier?
No.
That made a long list of annoying.
Unfortunately.
Look at Cartoon Network right now. Look at what they throw on Hulu.
I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the damn cartoons from now, Black David. I mean, we know those kind of suck. I think we're all general consensus they mostly suck. And whether we're a kid with some common sense or not. Think about all the great cartoons that were back then, whether it was Sonic, which is, even though it's anime, can be considered an animated series too. Kirby
Sonic?
Fully Loaded.
Sonic?
You had yeah. Well, you also even had other short-lived shows or animated series like Mortal Kombat. You even had Street Fighter, who had like animated movies and animated series.
Now that you bought Sonic, how many people did Sonic went through?
A couple.
Went through
a couple. But hold on. But if you're going to use that example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles went through a couple, but people still like multiple variations of different eras. Like for me, my favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type of series was the 2003 one with TMNT.
No, what? We're gonna do a show about Ninja Turtles real soon, and we're gonna go in deep.
No, I'm gonna try to do a show about you
on that one, and we'll call out the shenanigans because while they call out Dragon Ball franchise, and I said yes, Dragon Ball is guilty of.
Oh no! Look, I will definitely agree that first things first, Sonic is anime, so let's not like say like that's supposed to be cartoon. Like no, that's separate. But I will agree. Look.
But that's how they treat it here in the States,
well, yeah,
though, Wally.
That's in the States, but that's not the correct context, though. That's not that. But look,
no, I added the context that it was either used as a cartoon, but it was an anime type based series originally, like its origins are. but we still made multiple variations of it, whether it was in the States and outside of the States.
I understand all that. That's nothing here nor there. But the reason why I was saying that originally is because if they use the property, I'm not mad about how they use the property because that's on them, and they neither have to do it right or they need to do it wrong. But that doesn't mean that that's just more so a dig at more so the anime side than it is more the anime comic book side. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing is, either which way, what I'm saying is the Teenage Ninja Turtle parts. Now look, as much as there was multiple variations, one of the many variations that actually pissed me the freak off because of the fact that they didn't get to finish off the stories. Do you remember when they got to the brain part? That shit right there. I ain't gonna go that far.
Wait, for which one?
You hear that from Wally. You didn't hear that from me.
No, you don't remember the brain part? You remember when they end up popping out the brains? The alien brains.
I know.
In Ninja Turtles or in Sonic?
Ninja Turtle, where else? Oh, so you probably don't remember this one then. Ooh.
This is why I say I got sick of
cartoon. I know. You're talking about the ones. You're talking about the ones that was in the original animated or in the updated one.
No. I'm talking about the Ninja. I'm talking about the Teenage Ninja Turtles. When eventually they got to a point when Shredder was exposed of being this sort of brain-like entity.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That shit pissed me off. Don't get me wrong. It was a nice little twist, but it pissed me off in so much levels.
But they weren't brains, though. They weren't brains.
Well, again, they were brain-like. I'm not saying they were really brains. I'm
saying then the next reboot should have wasn't no brain, no, but this was my point. Lack of consistency. When you had a constant reboot, keep on changing the storyline, it get kind of piss poor. It's why anime always have an edge over cartoon. This is why I'm going to be critical when it comes to cartoon. Cartoon for dumb down people. How about that?
Your words, like David. Your words, not mine.
Hey, look, I'll say this just to be, cause I like to be truly fair. I said this throughout the whole show. I'll say it again. If you mostly are contagious to the humor and don't see the morality part of it, just understand. Pretty much, I'm proving what David said earlier, which is right now, which is for dumbed down people. But if you focus more so on the moral factor of it, aka you got out of the bubble of the humor, even though you still laugh at it, I won't blame you because I still laugh at the maniacs. I don't care. I still love them. But when you think about the focus of what they're telling you morally and what's going on in real life and everything else, they do bring some truth points. So don't get away from that either.
Let me pull it there. We always past the 12 mark, and I know I got work tomorrow and everything. I would like to go in deep.
Okay, real quick. Let me at least.
I would like to go in deep. We might do another comeback on this topic because believe me when I say what I said, this is why I don't like cartoon because the amount of BS that I've seen in cartoon. This is why I call it as I see it, and I'm being transparent about it because for the past decade, what they have been doing to cartoon is almost as if it's intently dumbing out our kids. No, even though based on the definition, there's supposed to be morality in the cartoon, but the humor overmax the morality more than the morality coming out.
Right.
So that's why it's more like you dumbing it down. Yeah, we put for morality, but where they going to see with all the junk ass, fake ass humor that we put out there for someone, it's oversaturated.
It is. But real quick, let me break this down and we can end this show. So, what are the similarities between American cartoons, and what the freak? Why am I on the front screen? Thank you. American cartoons and Japanese anime. Real quick. So let's as fast as this thing can load. So, real quick, hold on. Let me get that up there because I need to see this. Core principles of animation. Both utilize fundamental animation principles like squash and sketch, amputation, following through, and arcs, which were
pioneered
pioneered by Disney. These principles give life and fluidity to the movement of characters, which is pretty much true because a lot of that is because if you do listen to a lot of like think about a lot of the Backstrap stories and the history behind it, there is a lot of connections where they meet up with people they know and everything else of that nature. But let's go on to the next one. So yeah, real quick. So the next one, storytelling techniques. Both mediums employ narratives devices like character arcs. Characters undergo significant personal growth and development throughout the story. Now, yes, this is true in certain senses of the returning to certain cartoons, but not to all of them. That's slightly wrong in most cases, but it is in some sense for some cartoons, but not all of them. Conflict and resolution. Stories resolve around central conflicts that the protagonist must overcome. Again, some cartoons, not all of them though. More so to anime. And in humor, comedy is a frequent element, often using slapsticks, witty dialogue, or situational humor. You will find that in anime, but not to the degree that you would find that in morally cartoons, respectively. And then let's move this on. I want to kill shot this.
I think we found a format where people can see the font.
Yeah, I know. Because when it comes to the visual sort of off-puts the font, so that's why it's hard. So it's like maybe next, because that's why I was considering should we at least add the background drop or just leave it blank, because I think most people won't see the fonts the way they want to. So
Makes sense.
Yeah,
we'll work on that.
Yeah, but visual appeal, both prioritize visually engaging styles with vibrant colors, dynamic camera angles, and expressive character designs. And last but not least, getting this out the way, target audience. While anime caters to a wider age range from children to adults, both offer content of various age groups, which is true.
That is true.
So yeah, but that is pretty much it right there for the slides and breaking down the differences and the similarities between the two. But overall, look, at the end of the day, look, we all know how this is. If you're smart enough to know what's being, portrayed to you overall in the scenes of the world that is given, you know how to take the cartoons as they're given to you. Just like you should know how to take anime how they're given to you in the same sense. But with that said, look, that's just a little bit of the breakdown. So, is there anything else you want to give out, and then we can pretty much close this out?
No, I wanted to do a follow up next time on this show to give my extra beat down point, because this is something that I'm glad you're speaking about, because I'm sick and tired of people tell, oh, you what? No, I'm not watching cartoon. I'm not trying to dumb myself down. I watch anime.
Right. So real
For a
quick,
reason.
Chalk Smack, I agree with you. Hey Arnold, were definitely stories of more so morality that actually stick to something, and that's very true, because you do got to give it to that. There's definitely cartoons out there that do
the
have it.
older cartoon back in the 80s and the 90s. When
Yeah, but nowadays,
2000,
a lot of the newer cartoons, they are
mhm,
trying to dumb down or neither quote unquote code switch these
bingo.
kids,
Or
into
the
a whole
real
bunch of
actual
stuff.
word, reprogram your kids.
Yeah, so it's very dangerous. But that's the problem of, if you understand what cartoon was to you back in the days and you looking at the new ones, you know what cartoons to allow your kids to watch and what not to. So just
Bingo.
discretion. Pretty much.
Bingo.
Yeah. But with
So
that said, yeah.
we're at the end of that show. This is CBN Tech Talk, aka Black David, aka Beer Paul. This is Wally. We thank you for Marcus for contributing to the conversation. We thank to EJ for a couple of the Easter eggs.
EJ, don't
And
worry
Peter.
about that, David.
And
Don't worry about
Peter started the mess. Peter started all this mess. And we had to blame Peter too, but EJ went in on the little extra end that make us feel guilty, like, hello. But I love this comment. There you go. I really love the comment. Well, I'm glad we make some clarity. We might come back on this because we need to talk about Marvel and DC cartoon and see what kind of real actual name, because you can't call it cartoon because it's closer
Like I
to the
told you,
anime side of things.
comic
Comic anime.
Well, I wouldn't call it comic
But
anime.
audience,
Comic animation.
if you watch it, put in the comment what you think the name you should call DC and Marvel comic. You want to call it comic anime, or think you need a better name for it? Because I'll be
Hey,
honest,
thank you.
I'll be honest with you though. Watch it from the beginning to the end and see our argument. And we had to break it down in detail because there is a close similarity where DC and Marvel comic is coming close to anime based on the description we had. But at the same token, under the category, technically they are cartoon, but you don't want to call it cartoon.
And that's what I'm saying. They're more of the middle ground. Because again, you got to think about it. They walk away from the humoristic side. They may have humor, but they walk away from it because they're more mature. So that's why I
Bingo.
say it's more of a comic animation, because now you're picking on a more in-depth, detailed description at a higher level of diversity, and also being well diverse in character and everything else of that nature.
Right.
Right.
Can you
So,
do a schedule update?
yes.
I gotta check my email. That I don't have my email up in front of me.
Right. See, that's the thing. Okay, real quick, hold on. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna do it from my phone. So let me see if I can do this from my phone. Hold on.
No, the next episode is Dragon Ball.
I believe so.
And it's funny, we are doing this next week. So we will literally dig deep and start taking our
Oh, so it's Dragon Ball.
magnifying glass. We're gonna be digging on dirt. And while they go have his way on this topic.
Hey, look, I'm gonna say it like this. Peter, bring your behind to the front table. You ain't gonna talk about Dragon Ball Z and think you're gonna get away with it. You're gonna get this work. Goddamn, you're gonna get this work. You're gonna get this work. Get your notes ready, sir. Get your notes ready. You're gonna get this work.
That'll be for next week. After next week, the next episode we'll be talking about is the one that we're gonna go in deeper than that. It's Digimon versus Pokemon. After that one, we will talk about Gundam. Then we have a editor favorite Technoman. Then there's Gungrave, Battle of the Planet, Naruto, Attack. Oh, we got a good lineup of topics. Yes, all I know is I have to go in deep, starting from tomorrow morning on my phone. I'll go look for the author, the creator of Dragon Ball, what all the multiple Dragon Ball anime they have there, and all the Dragon Ball movies. And we're gonna be going some dumpster diving because Dragon Ball is guilty of the thing that we criticize cartoon doing. It is. So next episode, you're gonna see Wale being the prosecutor, and I will try to be a defense lawyer.
I'm gonna be the court and the jury.
I will try to be the defense lawyer for the Dragon Ball fans if I can try.
But the only thing that anyone's getting execution is people that throw GT under the bus. Don't you dare. Yes, I agree with you. The story was janky, but you know what? There was so much perfect elements to that bitch. It was needed. Do not discredit GT, goddammit. Don't you dare. Don't you
If you feel you're here, you want to defend Dragon Ball, please come on the next week episode.
I thought Dragon Ball GT was pretty dope when I grew up watching it on when it was on Toonami or even on.
I would say
I thought it was, especially when you got to see like Gotenks when they fused and then they fought. Who was that? Is it Shenron the demon? Who's the demon?
But here it is.
Purple.
You're watching this show.
So
if you want to defend.
But hold on, Black David. You can't be talking bad about Dragon Ball Z. That's a staple, man. That's a pioneer.
Here I'm trying to put out. Next week's episode. If you're here to defend Dragon Ball franchise, come and join me. If you come in here to whoop the franchise, call it out for what it is. You can join Wally next week because
I love Dragon Ball as far as overall. All I'm saying is, if you're coming in here saying that GT sucks, I'm gonna whoop your ass. We're gonna be fighting on this bitch. Peter, that is you. That's a call for you to bring your behind up on this panel.
Goddamn. From him. So we're gonna go a little deep.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, there is so much perfect things that GT has made.
Dragon Ball franchise.
Lord have mercy.
We're going in deep into Dragon Ball franchise. We gonna talk about the plot, the creation, when it started, why there was some gap in between the timeline whatsoever. We
the
going a little bit.
homages that are
We
paid in
going
tribute.
in on this one. So I would have to do a lot of digging, a lot of typing, a lot of mapping.
Oh, don't worry.
Hoping
By
I
the
can
time I get done with
hope
this,
I can
we'll get some covered.
explain why
You heard
they
it here. You
why
heard it
they
here,
make
fans,
why they make
supporters,
the mistake.
subscribers.
If you support Dragon Ball Z, please bring your note in the audience. If you
IT
here
for
to
20
roast
years.
Dragon Ball Z, then you might well, as long as you don't say the GT is stuck, you know how Wally looking for
Well,
you
no.
behind.
Look, it all depends on what the roasting is. But ultimately, if you roast any parts of Dragon Ball without some decency, you're gonna get cooked. I'm planning on cooking you. I'm planning on cooking you.
Hey, I'm letting you know, next
Planning on
week
cooking.
will be
I
brutal.
will defend this. I will defend this.
Next week is going to be brutal. We are not, like I'm saying, this show, Enemy Unlock, we're not leaving no stone unturned left on them. You open up everything. We calling everything out. What it is. If it did justice, it did justice. If it effed up, it effed up. It is what it is. We're not beating on the bush on this in this show, all right? So until then, I am Black David, CBN Tech Talk. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok before they get banned. You can find me on Fanbase and YouTube as well, and IG. All right, Wally, if we got Marcus, until next week. Well, we will be on the show tomorrow, but until next week on the Anime Unlock, when Dragon Ball is in the hot seat, it's what it is. Until then, good night.
You guys don't do conversations like this on weekends
We do, but that's more so
for your
on
channel?
a
Sport.
diverse of movies and things like that. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, for sure. On Saturday or Sundays at night, or a certain specific
Saturdays
time?
at
Or no?
9:30. Well, I believe 9:30. Yeah.
Eastern or
9:30, 9:30
or
Eastern
Central?
time.
So that would be
Okay.
6:30 your time.
Okay. All right. Thank
So
you.
until next week on Anime Unlock, we coming back for another one. All right.
And stay tuned though. We might consider throwing a little bit of pieces along the way, because I'm willing to throw some pieces along the way.
No, you talk about some blows. He looking for anyone to mess up.
Oh no. I'm just talking about. I'm gonna throw some pieces because I was willing to give some little bit because I know Dragon Ball is a lot to think about. We talking about Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, DragonAll GT, then bringing it back to then Super. There's a lot to really break down here. This is not gonna be a walk. This is not gonna be a walk in the park. There's a lot to think about.
We might have to do
Warhammer.
another episode if we cannot cover it all because
Oh
there's
no,
a
and
lot.
that's why I'm saying I'm gonna throw a little bit some tangents and tangents here along the way because we're gonna have to throw some little bit of gems here and there amongst these things. So this is a lot. It's a lot.
So we will do our best. We'll go into the topic and do justice. So until then, good night, y'all. I need to get to work tomorrow morning. All right.